Welcome, Christian Warriors. My name is Keith. I did a video yesterday where I talked about a shooting that happened at a church. And in that, I talked about how I have a new background because I'm getting treatment right now for the next month for PTSD and a brain injury together. And somebody made a comment. Why? It was something along, it's been deleted, but it was along the lines of, why are you saying you're seeking treatment for PTSD when you have guns? If you're watching this, I am definitely not making fun of you. I am definitely not talking bad, but it made me realize why people aren't seeking treatment for PTSD. And it's because of comments like that and some perpetuation of some really bad myths. I think I'm a good representation of a lot of you out there. You're former law enforcement, firefighters, EMS, military. You may have had a traumatic event in your past. I know my friend Carl Chen over at FBSN was held hostage and an active shooter at his church. Even though he's never been law enforcement, I'm sure those have impacted him as well. I just want to talk about a couple of things real quick to make sure that you guys all understand about PTSD and gun ownership and people with PTSD and serving on your church security team, because apparently it needs to get addressed because there's a lot of myths out there. And I want to make sure that we're all on the same page here. Now, look, that comment about why are you talking about PTSD when you own guns, like some agency is going to come seize my guns or something bad is going to happen. I hate to tell you this, but a majority of cops and firefighters and military personnel have some form of PTSD. So if we took them off of the streets, which I never came forward with my issues because my generation, I would have got fired if I admitted to PTSD. And so a lot of guys ended up killing themselves, or they ended out drinking themselves to death, or they did other unhealthy habits. And things have gotten better since then. What happens if we did take away guns from all those people that sought treatment? Number one, nobody would seek treatment anymore, right? And number two, there would be nobody left to protect you. And so let's talk about the federal law on firearm prohibitions. Now, first of all, I've been seen by the VA for PTSD. I've been diagnosed with severe PTSD, which is pretty significant. Yet I've still bought, even though I've been seen by the VA, still bought guns. And here's the kicker. I have a federal firearms license and an SOT, which allows me to not only just sell guns, but I can sell machine guns, silencers, short barrel rifles, and short barrel silencers. I agree. You shouldn't have to register any of those. I agree. And I think you should be able to buy a gun on Amazon. With that said, I have an FFL license, and the federal government knows that I'm dealing with these issues. I know lots of people that have PTSD, well over 100. None of them have harmed anybody else. And I had asked that person that made that YouTube comment, like what their concern was, that I was going to hurt somebody, I was going to hurt myself, or was it concern that the government was going to seize my guns? Now, look, my biggest concern about coming forward was I was afraid that by going to the VA, they were going to tell the federal government and they were going to come take my guns. And that keeps a lot of veterans from getting help. That is a myth. In order for the government to come take your firearms, you have to be adjudicated mentally defective or committed to a mental institution. Now, even if you went to the VA or some other place and you voluntarily went in there to get help because you're in a bad spot, which happens to a lot more people than you can imagine, that still doesn't qualify just because you went in there. To get that adjudicated mentally defective, you have to go to court. And to be honest, I've taken a lot of people into detention under 5150, which is danger to themselves or others. Out of all those people, I don't think I had anybody that was ever adjudicated as mentally defective. That comment, I keep going back to that comment on YouTube. That thought keeps people from seeking help. And then they continue into alcoholism, or the relationship with their family suffers, or what have you, right? So federal law, just because you have PTSD, the government can't and won't come take your firearms. And the worst part about this, veterans are often misinformed or intimidated into thinking that if you go to the VA, they're going to take your firearms. I know somebody's going to start citing, like, what about this case here? They're going to be down in the comments, and they're going to perpetuate this stereotype, which is going to be careful what you write. It's going to keep veterans and first responders from getting help because you write something that's uninformed, because they'll read that and it will just, in their mind, perpetuate that stereotype that the government's going to take their guns. I've had conversations with the head of suicide prevention at the Veterans Affairs office or bureau about what it takes for the VA to come take somebody's gun. And it is not you being seen for PTSD. It's not you even being taken into PTSD. They actually have to apply for that. A while ago, did the VA used to pull some stunt like that. Yes, that was a long time ago. That is not that way anymore. And if you keep perpetuating that myth, then nobody's going to go get help like they should. Most PTSD treatment doesn't trigger red flag laws. Now, red flag laws, I do not agree with them. If you go over to 2A Cops Supporting Gun Rights over on YouTube, Matt and I did a video on what we think and what law enforcement thinks about red flag laws. A majority of law enforcement doesn't agree with it. But just because you're seeking treatment for PTSD does not trigger a red flag law to now where they're going to come take your firearms. And I just want to keep emphasizing that those uninformed comments are going to keep people from seeking the help that they need. That's what happened to me for the longest time. Now look, responsible gun ownership and mental health can coexist. I know so many veterans, cops, and others that are still working with a firearm every day. Don't hurt anybody, don't hurt themselves. It is an injury, just like if you hurt your back or your shoulder or anything else. And if you keep stigmatizing it with these comments, people can't get help. So just to be clear, because somebody has PTSD doesn't mean they can't own a gun. I want to make sure that everybody understands that. If you're struggling, get help, because your rights, your Second Amendment rights, are still intact. Seeking counseling, seeking trauma therapy, doing EMDR, it doesn't jeopardize your firearms rights. But I want you to remember, being proactive about your health is a sign of strength and responsibility. We need to continue to fight this lie. We shouldn't feed it. Down in the comments, I only want to see positive stuff. I read comments down below before I started Christian Warrior, and I would read the comments about, I was at the VA and they took all my guns. And to find out, probably what happened is that guy probably threatened to kill everybody at the VA, and that's why his guns were taken from him. By you just coming to seek help, you can't have your guns taken from you. You don't lose your Second Amendment right. I hope that clears everything up. Good in the comments. Don't be a jerk. When you leave here, I want you to pray for all of the people that you know that are suffering from PTSD, and pray that they get the help that they need. There are tons of resources out there now. My goal by talking about it openly and what I'm doing right now is to normalize it, because I've heard from so many of you that have heard me talk about this and have talked about now you're getting help too. That's what I want. Go get the help. I am much better for it. My family is much better for it. My church is better for it. This channel is better for it. Take care of yourself. I want you to pray for all of those people that are suffering in silence. I want you to go get help. There's tons of it out there. Lastly, if you have PTSD, I want you to remember your ABCs. Always be caring.